to me about the esoteric urbanism. I mean, it's a vision of yours.
Yeah, it's been building over the years. Again, going back to Kim Jacobs, I had an art show and she was explaining my artwork to her son. And she said, "Oh, this is esoteric urbanism." And she just looked over her shoulder and said, "You could take that." And a couple of years later, I did. And I've been more or less doing everything in hashtagging esoteric urbanism. And for me, it's a way of describing my artwork, describing almost, in a sense, a lifestyle. And I've always been that brother that wasn't on the path of everybody else. My mother used to call me her eccentric son. And esoteric is one of my favorite words, and it means meant for a small crowd or understood by a small group. But at the same time, I don't want my message or my brand to be just lumped with a small group. I want to spread it for the world. Urbanism embraces not just graffiti culture, and not just the black experience. It's a combination of everything that's urbanism.
Social justice, black men in America.
It's, again, this day and age, there's a lot of stuff going on. And in my artwork, I've always addressed it, but I always felt the need to kind of disguise it or downplay it a little.
Why?
I've been socially conditioned to appease white people. And
why?
Because they have a problem with race. So I felt as though if I make it a little easier for them, it'll make it a little easier for them to accept me. And then as an artist, you're working within a white social structure. You know, the galleries.
But why they have to accept you? Why they have to accept your work and who you are?
And that's the whole thing. I've been socially conditioned. I don't feel a need to sugarcoat things. It just is what it is. I used to have problems with the term black art or black artist because it would pigeonhole me. But it is what it is. I can't hide who I am. I can't. It goes back to the sugarcoating the shit. I can't do it anymore. So, with addressing social justice, I just have to do what I feel. And that's the bottom line. From this point on, I have to do what I feel. And I remember doing several interviews where I would skate around the whole social justice thing because a large part of my audience is white people. But there's a large part of my audience that are black people. But the funny thing is, black people have more of an issue with looking at artwork that addresses social justice than white people.
Why?
Because I think they don't want to not all, but I think a lot of people, and especially black people who've made it, don't want to be reminded of what they came from or what they had to endure or what we as a people had to endure. So when I address, I have this one painting that I did directly after the Sean Bell shooting. It's very graphic, and what I do is I juxtapose what was going on in the South and during the 60s and 70s with what was going on then, the Sean Bell shooting. And there's a graphic image of a lynching, a man chained to a tree. And it's a strong image, but a lot of people don't want to look at that. And at one point, I was going to present it to the Sean Bell family, and my father said, "You know something? It's a beautiful painting, but all that's going to do is illustrate the pain that they had to endure." So that's when I went into, all right, I have to be more slick with how I approach addressing social activism in my artwork. For example, I have a painting that's in Vonda's Kitchen. And Vonda's Kitchen is a restaurant that's on West Kenny Street. Her thing is soul food, and so a lot of people from the community go there. And I have this painting where I have packs of Newport cigarettes in the painting. And so for me, the packs of Newport cigarettes represent Eric Gardner. And so instead of, I mean, we all seen the videos, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, 11 times. So I have 11 packs of cigarettes in this painting to represent Eric Gardner. You know, you could be direct without being direct. And so that's my motive now, is to be slick in addressing it when the painting's on the wall or the sculpture is in the room. But when explaining the piece, I'm not holding back. And I'm not holding back my focus and my direction. And so this is more or less an announcement to the world. That's my goal, is to do work that is aesthetically pleasing, but says something. And I think the role of the artist is to use their artwork to say something. Not everybody's gonna address social justice, but that's my calling, and that's what I plan to do. So there's gonna be more misogyny is the root of all evil shows. Every time you see Esoteric Urbanism, there is gonna be some work in there that's addressing the plight of the African diaspora, or showing the history of the African diaspora. I'm going to address injustice on gay people. I'm straight, but I have many friends, I have family members who are gay, and if I don't say anything, that's just like a slap in the face to them. I have friends who are Muslim. For me not to address xenophobia is an injustice, because I know about it. I can't help but to address it. I can't help but to speak about it. And so anytime I have a platform to speak on these issues, I'm going to speak about it.
So what is in Kortez's future? Exhibitions? What is going on?
Exhibitions. I'm a film lover. I always wanted to experiment with film. I'm doing photography and incorporating my own photography into my collages. I'm doing sculpture. I'm working on these African masks, and that's like my new thing right now. And I just want to keep on pushing the boundaries. And I also want to do performance art. Yeah, I just want to keep on pushing it, because it's a lot more than just, say, a piece of canvas on a wall or a piece of paper. There's so
it tells
much,
more.
Yeah, there's so much that you can do. And actually, in this day and age with social media, I've been writing these diatribes about what's going on. And I read something to my father this morning, and he said, "Oh, wow, I didn't know you could write like that." And
surprise.
And yeah, and I'm like surprised, and I never thought of myself as a writer, but there's so many ways to express yourself. There's so many ways, and I'm constantly meeting artists that do different things, and I love collaboration. I love bringing artists into the fold. It isn't just about me, it's about experiencing other people's work and how their work
can influence
mine, how my work can influence theirs, how, the mixtape collaborative. You have 3 guys from 3 totally different backgrounds creating artwork. When I met Jerry, one of the things we were doing was live painting at these Giant Step sessions. Giant Step is a record label out of New York City, and they were doing these parties, and they would have artists paint live on the spot. That, to me, was like an amazing door to walk through, because here I am, a DJ, and I'm getting to paint with my favorite DJs. Most of the DJs that I admire, I've met through my artwork, and that's an amazing thing. Actually, I love DJing more than art. It's funny.
But can you incorporate one of
these?
them?
Oh yeah.
I think I seen something that you have like LPs.
Oh yeah, it was a fundraiser at for Covenant House, and Joe Berzada, the curator at Palette Artist Space, he had the idea of the artist painting on album covers. So I painted on a Run DMC album cover and a De La Soul album cover, and the Run DMC one was sold. But there's so much that you could do, and of course that show I was DJing. So I've DJ'd my own art shows, and it's an amazing thing.
Wonderful. It has been a pleasure talking with you. Like I said before, I scout the people that I like to interview, and there's always a reason behind my interview, and it's just to get the story behind that artist, the story behind that person, something that people might look at your art, but they don't understand what's going on with the mind of that person, that artist. And something that he just gave me, he presented this to me. The mothership. Who knows what the mothership is? If you know, hit me up on Facebook. Okay? If you don't, do your homework. This is sugar and spice, but not so nice. Khadija here. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're cold.